Welcome, my friends, to Lunduke and Friends, or as we are calling it tonight, Lunduke and himself. The Lonely Lunduke Show. We're getting back into the swing of doing Lunduke and Friends every Thursday night, because hanging out with friends and talking about nerdy things brings joy into my life, and I love joy. But tonight, my regular co-host, my partner in crime, is down with a migraine. So Matt Hartley won't be joining us this week. So I thought instead of doing a traditional me hanging out and talking with my friends about whatever nerdy topics people come up with for us for 2 hours, I just talk about a couple of specific topics that are on my mind and break them out into a couple of random videos and clips and whatever the heck this is. And just because I got the time staked out to talk about things anyway. And what I want to talk about first, what I want to talk about right now, by the way, go to lunduke.com to get links to all the stuff. If you want to watch these shows, listen to them, read the articles and all that, there's links all over lunduke.com. Go there and click on all the links with all the hypertextings and the whatnots. Okay. I want to talk about LBRY Odysee, because over the last 4 years, I have actively, vociferously, and intensely promoted and advocated for the usage of both LBRY and Odysee as a replacement for YouTube. Because YouTube sucks. I mean, I think all of us are in agreement. YouTube blows chunks. It's just terrible. It stinks. Even people that make their lovely living off of YouTube generally think YouTube is just the worst. Like, if you sit down behind closed doors with some of the world's biggest YouTubers, especially the tech YouTubers, they're just like, yeah, man, YouTube is just the worst. They just hate it, right? And I am strongly of the opinion that whatever we do on our computers should bring us joy. It should bring us happiness and peace and love and whatever. We should have a good time using it. And because, well, I just don't know a lot of people out there using YouTube who are like, yes, couldn't get any better than this. I try and advocate for replacements when I see replacements that have some distinct advantages. And LBRY and then Odysee after it do have some distinct advantages. They had them then, and they still have those advantages now. LBRY is very cryptographical and very distributed and mostly decentralized and very blockchainy, and it has a good at least a somewhat reasonable tipping system, and it's got some good things about it. It's much, I wouldn't say censor-proof, but much more censor-resistant than YouTube and other places, and that overall, as a publishing platform, is probably a good thing. There's ups and downs there, but it's probably a good thing. Anyway, so I've promoted it fairly heavily so far that I've encouraged people to stop using YouTube, and even just sworn off using YouTube for pretty significant chunks of time, and just put all my eggs in that LBRY and Odysee basket. I significantly risked myself for the assistance of that platform. That's how much I believed in it. And I came out just this last Monday morning, the wee hours of Monday morning, and I publicly am now condemning LBRY and Odysee and the company behind both of them. In the strongest of terms. And I want to talk about, and a lot of people are going to be like, I told you so, Lunduke. You're condemning Odysee. You're coming crawling back to the YouTubes. And to be fair, yeah. But I'm also predominantly publishing over on Local. So if you go to lunduke.locals.com, you can get all my stuff. I'm also publishing a bit over on Rumble now, though I've told nobody about that, so I don't even know if I have any subscribers over there. Like I did it kind of on the sly. I just started doing that like a day or two ago, and then but most of my publishing is happening over at lunduke.locals.com, and then some of my shows I'm also mirroring up over on YouTube again because oh my gosh, I simply cannot be a part of the road that LBRY and Odysee are going down right now. So and before, oh my heavens, before I specifically spell out why I did this condemnation, I think in order to stress the extremeness that we would have to be at here in order to get me to take this step, I think I should illustrate this fact. I am, my channel over on LBRY and Odysee was at one point the largest on the entire platform. I was top dog for a while. And even now, even after their whole network, in part because of me, has experienced phenomenal growth, I'm still top 50, which is huge. I mean, there's a lot of amazing channels there, some of which I should not be bigger than, right? So I really don't view me being the 50th whatever biggest channel on the entire network as I mean, that's a big win. That's a huge win for me. I would much rather be the 1000th channel on a network that was huge than be the top dog on a network that was eensy weensy and tiny, right? And so the fact that I was able to be the 50th, and despite that massive growth, is a big friggin' deal to me. Anyway. And if you look at the top, say 50 or so channels in terms of subscriber count, over a dozen of them started bringing their channels over to LBRY and Odysee specifically at my recommendation. I mean, if you really sit down and start adding up the subscriber counts and the total large channels, you could make a really significant case that I brought more people to the LBRY network and Odysee than any other human being on Earth, including everyone at LBRY and Odysee. So for me to take this step is a huge thing for me, because I felt the need so strongly to take this step because I did not want to be associated with what they're doing. And as soon as they started doing the thing they did, I started hearing about it from creators that joined because of me, from creators who were thinking about joining because of me, from some of my fans who had started using Odysee and LBRY because of my recommendations. And they all wrote into me, or in some cases called me and were like, dude, did you see this? And yeah, I did. So here's the deal. Here's what's happening over there. So, last week, Odysee, which is the web-based kind of consumer-focused version of LBRY. They're really one and the same. LBRY and Odysee are essentially the same. It's the same network of content run by the same people on the same thing and the same infrastructure. It's just a different view into the content for 99% of the case. The people who run the Odysee portion of it made a post to the corporate Odysee channel, the one that they try to get everyone to subscribe to when you sign up for Odysee, right? This is the corporate channel, right? This would be the equivalent of YouTube's YouTube channel, right? Or the @Twitter account on Twitter. They made a post promoting a channel. Well, that's not weird. In fact, that should be happening all the time, right? Odysee should be promoting some of the amazing creators that are on there. There are some astoundingly amazing creators, political creators and comedians and gadgets and electrical engineering creators and programming creators and Linuxy creators and gaming creators. There's just some amazing, amazing channels over on Odysee nowadays. Well, the Odysee network, the Odysee channel on Odysee doesn't promote those. Not ever, right? In fact, the Odysee channel, the corporate Odysee channel, had not promoted any channel of any kind in any way for months and months and months. So this was the first one. And the channel they promoted was one, let me see, do I have this name here? I think his name is Axel, something like that. It's a channel that had, at the time of promotion, I think 60 followers, 60 subscribers. Well, that's fine. I see nothing wrong with Odysee promoting little channels. I think that's great. Give the little guy a leg up. That's awesome, right? Well, this particular channel, and if I'm going to include the link to my statement around this in the show description. If you really want to see it in full, which I don't know that I recommend, go ahead and click that link, and in there is a link to the Odysee post, to this Odysee channel post. It includes the following text, which I'm going to have to heavily censor because my shows are not vulgar trash. This is specific text in the post, including some really funky, really, really low quality imagery. Quote, "You want to beep my 2 hot girlfriends in the beep and beeping break my beeping a beep." I mean, you can use your imaginations. It's extremely filthy, right? And it signed off, it was just a ton of this stuff. And if you link over to the channel that's being promoted, it's just more and more of that. It's just incredible filth, right? Off the charts. Like, it's so extreme coming from a corporate channel that it almost doesn't even seem real. It just hits you and you're like, what did I just see? Did a plane just rush by my face? Like, I don't know what just happened. It was just so weird. It doesn't make any sense. And it signed off with the text, quote, "Odysee is his yard now." And I was like, what? I mean, and if you go over and look at the videos that this person posts, there's just a couple of them with a couple subscribers. It is just, it's short, incredibly low quality, vulgar, creepy, filthy, profane, disgusting garbage. It's just garbage, right? It's just human trash. It's not making a statement. It's not funny. It's just trash. It's just utter trash, right? And it's so incredibly filthy that I don't have a problem if someone wants to make such filth. I don't. I choose not to be around it. I definitely don't want to associate my content or my brand with that. But what really, really baffled me is why would the corporate channel for the entire platform force this content in an unsuspected way, in an unasked way, on everybody? That's because I think free speech is great. This person, that's the whole thing with LBRY and Odysee, is pretty much anyone can say pretty much anything, unless it's like crazy illegal, right? And I don't think the platform should change from that. That's the point of it. But for the platform to promote it, and again, they don't promote anyone. This is like the only time they promote people. It's just this one time. And so I was like, holy heavens, this is a problem, right? Like I thought, my first inclination was this has to be like an intern or some low-level employee that has just simply never worked in the industry before and they made a mistake. A lot of people reach out to me and were like, were they hacked? So I checked it out, right? Now, I'm lucky. In my relationship with LBRY and Odysee, I can just reach out to everybody, right? So not only as was I once the largest channel on the platform and am arguably the person who has brought more people to the entire network than any other human being, but I also, starting a few weeks before this moment, started doing a very small amount of consulting work for the company. This is true. So this is a little bit of a side thing. Because I believed so much in the company and I liked what they were doing, they had some needs, specifically around getting articles out and getting technical tutorials out and those sorts of things. So I started doing a couple of hours of work for Odysee, not as an employee, not as a full-time thing, just a couple hours to help them out with a couple of things, and they throw me a couple of bucks, right? Nice and easy. Well, because of that, I had direct communications with everyone at the company. I could chat with everybody, right? So I did. I hopped on the corporate chat room, and they have one of the, like, a Slack chat channel thing set up. And I asked, I'm like, was someone else actually brought it up first? One of the other employees was like, "Wow, this post we made." This post we made promoting this weird channel sure is getting slimed to death, which sliming in the Odysee terminology is a thumbs down, right? They have, they have like a little heart or a slime, right? So it's like a thumb up or thumb down. And it was, overwhelmingly, the whole community was basically already at this point just annoyed as hell and just thinking this was just gross and awful. Like, there's a LBRY community podcast. They had already been like, "Whoa, what the heck are you doing, LBRY and Odysee? You guys are being awful." And the comments galore were like, "Whoa, who did this? Did you guys get hacked? What the heck is going on here? This is awful," right? So I chimed in. I'm like, "Yeah, this is pretty bad. We should probably take this down. I don't know who put this up, but clearly, we should take this down." Paraphrasing. The response I got was off the charts, was absolutely off the charts. I got a response from the chief marketing officer, the C-level executive in charge of marketing for the company, who also is kind of the person that runs Odysee. And that person just started yelling at me. Not just a little bit, but like profane yelling, F-bombs and swear words galore, and telling me that I didn't understand, I guess, marketing. I didn't understand what Odysee was, and just screaming F words at me. I was like, whoa, well, that was a response. That was not expected. That was really not expected. And I pressed a little bit harder, and it was made clear to me that not only was this intentional, but that post that was put up there was posted by the chief marketing officer for the entire company, and that this was the corporate branding and content strategy for the whole darn thing. Oh my heavens. Wow. I reached out to the CEO of the company, and was the CEO of the company who has been a nice guy. I talked to the CTO of the company, again, a nice guy, but no one wanted to take action. No, everyone just kind of agreed that they were just going to let this be. That they were just going to keep this as the strategy. And what's interesting is if you go to Twitter and you look at the Odysee account on Twitter, you find that the Odysee account swears like a sailor, screams at people, belittles everybody, just talks down to people. It's just mean-spirited, and also interacts with the Twitter account for this gross channel, the one channel that they've ever promoted, regularly, praising their swear words and genitalia comments. It's really, really, it's gross, and it's weird. It's really, really weird. And it was made super clear to me that this was the strategy. This is what they were going to do going forward. So going forward, any creator who has posts as videos, as content posted and published to the network can expect that the company will be promoting not them, not the high quality stuff, but the degenerate stuff. the vulgar stuff, the profane stuff, the low quality stuff, and pushing it in front of them, right? And pushing it over them and pushing it to their subscribers. So that means that anyone who has associated with the LBRY Odysee brand is going to have their name and their branding and their image dragged through the mud. This is a really big problem. I mean, this is a really big problem. A lot of people don't necessarily understand how big of a problem this is. I mean, it would be like if all of a sudden tomorrow YouTube did the exact same thing and was like, you know what, we're just going to do extremely profane, low quality, degenerate stuff and put that all that's all we're going to do. And anyone who's here, you're just going to be surrounded with that. So any screenshot that anyone is ever going to take of your content is going to be covered with this other garbage too. That would be a huge problem. And the big creators on YouTube would revolt. They just would. I mean, I've never seen anything quite this extreme, because we're not talking about a couple of swear words here, right? People could go like, oh, Lunduke, you're being all puritanical. No. This is off the charts, guys. Go check this out. It's so off the charts. And again, I'm not advocating for censorship here. What I'm advocating for is, what I'm stating is that promoting that sort of content over 100% of all other content and pushing it on people creates not just a platform that is impossible for children and families to use, but it's impossible for adults to use who could be around children, and impossible for adults to use at work or in professional settings. And it becomes impossible for creators who are professionals to use. Creators who simply don't want to be surrounding their brand with that sort of garbage. It becomes impossible for them to use. It is highly alienating. And the fact that was the response. The response from the company was so vulgar and so abusive, quite frankly, that I'm like, okay, guys. I worked with the company for days on this before I made a public statement. I repeated myself over and over again to everyone that would listen. I'm like, look, I have to distance myself from this. I have to, because I'm a reasonable human being. I just have to. Like, that's obvious. Anyone who's worked in marketing or done content creation professionally, you have to. You just have to. Anyone who says otherwise, or anyone who says that that's an overreaction, has never worked in a professional way in marketing for any length of time, or in content creation in a professional way. It would be completely impossible. So, now, interestingly enough, the chief marketing officer for Odysee, when Odysee hired this person, I would go so far as to say they were taking a very big risk, because this person, according to his LinkedIn profile, he has a grand total, before he joined LBRY Odysee, of 11 months of work experience in the field. As far as LinkedIn's concerned, he has 11 months of work experience, period, all of which were at TikTok. Now, if he'd been the old CMO, the old chief officer over at TikTok, for years, sure, he'd have experience, but that still is a bit of a gamble for a company like LBRY, who's focusing on freedom and non-censorship, to come from TikTok. And if anyone doesn't know why that's a potential marketing just minefield, go look up TikTok and its ties to, the Chinese Communist Party and everything else. That's a minefield there. It just is. So even in the best circumstances, with someone who has tons of experience and whatnot, that's a minefield. And for someone who didn't seem to have any experience other than 11 months working for TikTok, that's basically no experience at all. Because if the only job you've ever had in an industry is for 11 months after which you were unemployed for many months before getting your next job, that suggests to me that it's highly likely that you were fired, or that your contract ran out and you were a contractor and your contract was simply not renewed, which is basically like being fired. Everyone who's worked in the tech industry for more than a couple years can read between those lines. So when LBRY hired this person, they were hiring someone that they had to have known likely did a bad job, so bad of a job that TikTok didn't like them. And they hired them to run their marketing. And then they do this. And then they do this profane stuff and they force it on people. And the CEO just lets it happen. So I gave them lots of time. And I told them, look, we need to do something. This is fixable. It's a fixable thing. I've worked enough years in marketing to know this is fixable. It's a big thing, but it's a fixable thing, right? Was making that post a huge mistake, possibly the hugest marketing mistake I've seen in the tech industry in decades? Yes, it was huge. So bad. I can't imagine the company that doesn't, if not fire the person who did that on the spot, at least restrict that person's ability to ever make posts for quite a long time without a lot of board oversight, right? Like, that comes with repercussions, man, in a hurry. I mean, big repercussions. I really can't. Honestly, most companies would have fired him. Most companies would have. A few companies would have put him on like probation and demoted him. And tried to force him to quit. I've seen that sort of thing. But I've never seen anything this bad. I've never seen anything this bad. But just the same, despite it being bad, it's fixable. Take the post down instead, and then put in its place posts, promoting and advocating for many of the other high quality creators that are out there, right? It could even be ones that are in the same, vein, like comedy or absurdity or whatever. But do some of the high quality ones, the ones that aren't going to be immediately offensive to 99% of all of humanity. It's fixable. Not only did they say no, they banned me from, they blocked me from talking with them further, and banned me from their corporate channels, swore at me repeatedly. A few of their employees took to Reddit to badmouth me, which they then later tried to delete. And then they started deleting anyone who talked about the incident, which is interesting from a freedom of speechy kind of company. So anyway, I made my statement. Because this is not me. I don't want people thinking that I approve of this sort of content. I don't want people thinking that I approve of companies behaving this way. I don't want screenshots out there of my content next to the content that they put out there. And that's the sort of situation that they put me and hundreds, if not thousands of other creators in. And it's damaging. It's damaging to me. It's damaging to all of the creators on the platform. And you know what? I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to be a part of that. And I'm lucky in that I don't have to, right? Because if LBRY and Odysee go away right now, I still exist. If YouTube goes away right now, I still exist. I've got my website over at lunduke.com. I've got lunduke.locals.com. I'm fine. My core audience still knows how to find me. I can still earn a living. I've got the subscription service set up over at lunduke.locals.com. There's like 3,500 nerds all signed up over there, and I'm fine. I'll be fine. So I don't need to grovel at the feet of a company that would do such horrible things. And here we are, as days go on. Not only has the company not taken any steps whatsoever to remedy the situation, they've doubled down. If you hop on Twitter, you find the Odysee Twitter account swearing up a storm at people, attacking people, making jokes with that same creator. They're doubling down. This is the future of LBRY and Odysee. This is what they created the platform for now. If that wasn't the point, if that wasn't the intention, well, it's too late. That's what it's for now. That's what it's known as now. And they've cemented that for themselves. And so I've stopped posting all content over to my channel over on LBRY and Odysee. And in reality, I'll probably pull down the entire channel sometime soon. Because there's no point. There's no point in it existing at all. And that's a big bummer. I think that's a huge bummer. It's a huge bummer to see a genuinely interesting and cool piece of technology get mismanaged so spectacularly. And it's a big bummer to see a network that was pulling in some really big names, right? Channels that are 10, even 100 or more times the size of my own. And bringing them in, they were getting some success. But all of those channels, if they're not already, they're going to be looking at this going, oh, dear heavens, what have I gotten myself into? And they're going to want to start pulling out too, because no one in their right mind, no professional wants to be a part of the dirty, creepy, vulgar, profane, and honestly mean-spirited road that Odysee is going down. And they're dragging the whole LBRY network down with them. And that sucks. That sucks so much for them, for me, for everyone. And the people who are running the company, running that network, know full well that that is the case. They have been told over and over again. So at this point, that's what they want. That's their choice. And I got to respect that. If that's how they want to run their network, it's not my company. It's not my network. I've cut all ties with them. I don't do anything with them anymore. That couple hours of consulting work I did writing a few articles for them, I'm not touching anything with them with a 10-foot pole anymore. They're radioactive. They're toxic. They're poison. And I don't want anything to do with it. No way. No way, no how. We deserve to be happy. We deserve to have joy in the networks and computers and things that we do in life. And there's no reason to spend time, to waste time on such gross things. None at all. Anyway, I wanted to kind of talk this through, because it's an important thing. Now, do I love YouTube? No, I don't like YouTube at all. YouTube stinks. YouTube has so many problems. And you know what? LBRY and Odysee fix some of those YouTube problems. But I can't be associated with LBRY and Odysee. I cannot. The problems with LBRY and Odysee don't exist, as certainly not to that level on YouTube. So for the time being, I'll publish a few more videos over on YouTube. I always have got my stuff over on lunduke.locals.com, right? So you can go get this show and everything else over there. No advertising, no swearing and cursing, no gross stuff. I control all of the content I publish there. And we all strictly adhere to being excellent to each other, of no cursing and swearing, of having a family-friendly and loving and kind and awesome environment for all, with no trolls. So all the problems of LBRY and Odysee, they don't exist. All the problems of YouTube, they don't exist. Not over there. And that's going to remain, I think, for the foreseeable future, my primary publishing platform or everything. If you want to make sure you get all of my shows, and all of my articles and all of the great communication that happens with the community. We have a lot of fun over there. Go over to lunduke.locals.com, sign up for a free account. It's free, and you get all that stuff. If you want to become a paid subscriber, that's awesome. I love you. High fives, hugs all around. You help keep the lights on. You're great. There's lots of you that do, and I really appreciate it. But no pressure. Just go get a free account and just enjoy all the content, right? If you want to become part of the chit-chatty community that we got going, yeah, you can pitch in a few bucks. That's great. That's great, but it's not necessary. Just get the free account so you can follow everything and you don't miss out on anything, right? So then if YouTube cancels me, if I if I gotta pull my content off of YouTube again, it's no big deal. You'll still get all of it. So go to lunduke.locals.com, or at the very least, follow along with all my articles and everything over at lunduke.com so you don't miss out. All right, everybody. I've got a few other things I want to talk about. I think I'm going to break them out into multiple shows because, well, like I said, it's just me tonight. Next week, I'm going to make sure we got someone over here on the other side of the screen here chatting with me. If you see those words where it says why I condemned LBRY Odysee, normally that would be, we had it all set up. That would be another voice, another little voice visualizer of whoever I'm hanging out with. But they're not there. It's just me and I'm all alone. But next week, come on back in and hang out with us, and it'll be tons of fun. Nothing but nerdy joy and happiness from here to the end of time. All right, everybody. Hope you're having a great time. I hope someone gave you a high five today because you deserve a high five. I'll talk to you later.